Blocks in Trimble Business Center are basically a collection of objects. It can be a collection of lines, circles, rectangles, polygons, text. It doesn't really matter, but basically it's a grouping of objects, and they're typically used for symbology or symbols. So maybe a sign or a tree, or in this case, I have a catch basin with a drop inlet. And if you'll see here, they're initially starting out as just basically rectangles or polylines or circles. And you want to group them together and make them a block, so then you can insert that block repeatedly throughout your project and use it in, surveying and mapping, or field to finish data reduction in your feature attribute library. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to draw the objects that you want, and in this case you might want to draw them to scale. So I drew this one starting at 0, 0, which would be my insertion point possibly. I can make this the insertion point as well. And then I drew it 1 foot by 2 foot, and then I have a 1 foot by 6 foot rectangle over here, and then I have a circle representing maybe the cover of the manhole. So basically on the drafting tab, you're going to go and you're going to create a block, and you're going to give it a name, and I'll call this DI, maybe 3B or something. And then you're going to select the objects. So I'm just going to do a window selection around these objects. And then the insertion point is where I want to be able to insert this later on. So my insertion point, let's say I want to use the center of the circle. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick centroid of arc. We'll pick that circle. That's going to be the insertion point. You also have the ability to insert a second optional point, so maybe for rotation, as well as a third point to control scaling. And you can also set an elevation. But right now I just want to keep it a simple block, and I'm going to put the insertion point there. And I'm going to hit create, and you see here that DI3B block was created. Now the original objects still remain as individual segments. What we would then do next is go to the insert block, and you'll see that block list, or that block is listed in my block library or block list that's in my project. So the blocks will actually store with the project. So now I can come in here and I can reinsert that block. You can see putting it into a different location and set an elevation to it. Maybe it's at 75. I can also control the rotation. So I can put a rotation angle in, and then I can also even scale it if I needed to. And then once you do that, you click insert. So basically you can see you can create and then insert the block.